Welcome back to the shop. It's a very chilly, about 9 degrees today in North Texas. We got this crazy white stuff on the ground. If you live in the northern states, you need to come down here and get your weather because it's annoying. It'd be one thing if it was snow, but this solid layer of ice everywhere it just ain't fun. It was close to 60 degrees a few days ago and now it's 9, so my body is not acclimated to this, so I'm not working in the shop today, but here's what I've been working on over the last week on the golf cart project. Okay, so we need to start figuring out where we're going to put this little battery voltage screen. My first thought was we'll make a little holder for that, put it in there. Then I got to thinking, you put a couple Yeti cups or Sonic cups or large size cups in there and actually use the cup holders, 100% blocks that. Is that a big deal? No. It's just kind of annoying. So I think the best bet, because you're sitting here like this, riding down the road. This is basically, y'all are looking eye level with where I'm seeing. And I kind of feel like putting this right here on the steering column would be pretty cool. It's easy to see. You're not looking through here because this is so short and you sit up so high, you're looking over the top. So it's not obstructing anything, but you have a clear view to look down if you want to see your battery voltage or range or whatever. And we already have this wire here for the turn signals, so we can just loom that together, make that real clean. I'm thinking we'll either bump this hose clamp and this turn signal indicator down, or we'll just build a mount that like that. I don't think it really matters if it's up here or down there. I mean, it's pretty bright. Obviously don't want it in the way of your hand. So I think if we just mount it right there, it'll be nice and clean. So all we got to do is we got to take a bunch of measurements of this. We got to take a measurement of what our OD of our tube is here. 1.773, 1.7730, 1.7720. We want to go a little small. So I think what we'll do there is we'll make a piece. I mean, this little switch panel thing looks kind of terrible. I'm not real sure why they did that. It looks even more horrendous on the backside because there's just more random plastic. So I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, I'm thinking we remove this and we build a nice little inlay or cover piece to just go right there and cover all that up. We might even just get rid of the cigarette lighter plug, put a USB. And then I've been thinking about the radio. I don't really love how it's in there. And we could gain another glove box area. I've really been looking at this radio here for like power sport razor UTV applications where it just fits in a rocker switch hole and it's got a remote mount amp. But I'm thinking we could put that right here in between the cup holders. We have enough room, I think. And then you're sitting here riding and you can just reach down and that's the thing. It all is kind of not ergonomic to reach, but it's way better than reaching way over here. It'll be all Bluetooth. Then we'll just have our key and our light switch, which I don't like the headlight switch at all, but it kind of is what it is. I don't really want to put a bunch of extra time and money and build a whole new kind of dash or any of that. I might if I was keeping it. But that's a ton of sheet metal work that just adds up to labor. My time is worth something, so I think we'll just make it clean and look as good as we can make it look for the new owner, for the price point that I'll be selling it at. But I think this will be really nice right here. So we got our dimensions. Let's get over into Fusion and start modeling this up, and then we'll start building it. Okay, so we're gonna measure out our gauge here. We got our width, it's 1.8, 8085. I'm just gonna go a little bit more than that. 1.80, 809, I think. Gives a little wiggle room. 2.747. We'll just do 2.75. We'll create a rectangle. 1.8085. I don't have a measuring tool to measure the radius of that, but my eyes tell me that's about an 1/8 inch. So we're going to put an 1/8 inch fillet, and we'll replicate that everywhere else. We'll make another rectangle. No, we're not going to make a rectangle. We're going to do this. 0.9. I am by no means an expert in Fusion, so bear with me as we run through this. I did that backwards. This needs to be 0.9. This is 0.8. This is 0.9. Do a little math on the calculator. We're going to do a circle, 0.258. No, we need to do a 0.3065 circle. And then we want to do it 0.2645, give or take, from the edge. From the bottom, and then we'll do, let's say 0.99. Alright, so now we got our hole for our wire. That's going to drop in just like that. Now that we have our hole to fit the gauge, we need to build the part around it, basically. Let's do... I don't know, this is just a really, like a total guess. It's nice and squarish. Okay, now we have our external box. really just experimenting here, which is fine. I think this is our best bet, but we're going to end up with supports inside this little pocket, which is not necessarily ideal. I guess it doesn't really matter as long as we can knock enough of them out to get the wire through there. Yeah, let's just try it. 4 hours, 45 minutes. Yep. Send it to the printer. All right, here's the finished product. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to make some adjustments and make it again, which I kind of knew. It fits really nice in there this way, but I did not realize that the sides are tapered. So like I tried to put it in upside down and it doesn't fit. It's close, but it's not quite there. The issue of having all this back here and the supports down in there is exactly the issue I was afraid of, where I can't get the supports out. Also don't think I made that hole or this hole big enough, and it's going to be difficult to get the wire down out of this side. I could put it on this side, but I really want to put it on this side over here, the left, to match the wires for the turn signal. I guess while we're here, let's see how this fits. Oh, that is perfect. Very nice. So we got to edit the file and make this hole slightly wider. And I think what I'm going to do is basically just cut this out where there's just a lip in here to hold this. The other problem I was thinking about, looking at this now with everything in my hand, well, look, it kind of goes, is once we get this in here, there's really no way to get it out. I think ideally like a bolt-on panel here would be best, but that's just more stuff. Also, I was not thinking about this little button. And if we put it, the button sticks out slightly from the side, so we put it in there, it's going to push the button. So I think we're going to have to make a little notch here so that you can access that button. I'm not really sure if it's needed 100%. I guess the button will be over here because it goes that way, but we should probably create a little window for that. And if we create a big enough window, that might give us enough room. We can get a little flathead in there and pry this out should it ever need to be replaced. And this box should be waterproof, so shouldn't be worried too bad about water and moisture getting down in there. Make that hole slightly bigger and it'll be easier with all this cut out. Just like I thought, it did not thread these, which is fine. It seems, these are the bolts that I had laying around. I did miss the head size slightly. And since this part is scrap, I think we can thread this. Now, is that going to be strong enough? I have no idea. But since this is now a test part, we can see just how strong it will be. We do need to drill that out a little bit. Definitely not pretty, and the walls are kind of thin, so it cut through them, but it proves the point. that was that just breaking, but we'll ignore how crooked it is. Oh look, it broke that. But it's not bad. So I just split that because I drilled it out. And it's only a couple walls thick of the actual plastic, and then it's just a grid support. So since these bolt heads are a little bit bigger, we'll probably make this outer circle diameter a little bit wider, give us more clamping, and then I'll make the walls thicker so there's actually more plastic. Then I'll probably make this section thicker too, with a smaller hole that I can thread to get a little bit deeper. And I think that will be fine. I mean, if you put your body weight on that, you're probably going to break it off, but like it's a gauge holder. I might even just put it down there. I feel like that might work better. I don't know. It shouldn't get a lot of abuse in terms of like forward and back movement. It's just holding a gauge that weighs like 6 ounces. So I'm gonna go modify our file a little bit and reprint this, and then I'll bring y'all back in and you can see the finished product. All right, here's version 2.0. We've got our little notch for the button. Went ahead and opened up this entire window so that we're a little easier to get all the support pieces out of there and feed the wire through. So I guess just a moment of truth. Let's see if it works. Ooh, like a glove. There we have it. Seems pretty solid. You can pry it out if you need to, but seems pretty well stuck in there. Now we just need to thread our holes. Let's go see how it fits. All right, we got to figure out, do we put it before or after the turn signals? Be kind of hard to see, but we got a smooth side and we have a kind of textured side. The textured side is out on the gauge part, so I had the clamp backwards. It looked kind of weird. All right, I think that's pretty solid. Now we just need to connect these wires to our 48 volt under the hood. Well, I guess I'm gonna shoehorn myself up in there and chopping out some wires. All right, let's focus on the radio. Picked up this SSV Works Bluetooth audio system. What I like about it is everything is ran off this single switch that will fit in a standard rocker switch hole. Small, it's compact. I mean, it's 2026. I still listen to the radio sometimes, but 90% of the time I'm listening to, Spotify or something on my phone. The old radio didn't have Bluetooth, and then of course it would let all the smoke out of it, so we got to come up with something else. I really like how compact this is in an nice aluminum box. It looks like really good quality, honestly, for less than $200. We got weather pack style connectors, and I mean, it's basically just plug and play. Looks like we got a few feet here so that we can run this remotely if we want to. Got individual speaker harnesses and our amplifier out. That's pretty cool. If you don't want it, you just leave it unplugged, I guess. So I think this is going to make the installation very clean, a little more modern. We can mount this underneath the hood somewhere. And then I'm thinking about just cutting a hole right here, mounting it in the middle. It looks like there's enough room to clear the cup holders based on the depth. The cup holders are glued in, but I mean, I can feel back there, there's nothing behind them. So we just have to cut a square hole. Sounds easy enough. And I thought about doing it right here, but then it's hard to get to when you got cup holder, full-size cups in the cup holder. So I think that's going to be a lot better. Let's get the marking and get it cut out. Well, I just realized that the only thing I have to cut that is an air bandsaw. It's not even a bandsaw, it's just like an air little file saw, I guess. But I don't have my big compressor hooked up yet, and the little one will not run the air tools. So, gonna have to think on this one for a minute. Tell you what, before we go cutting holes, irreversible holes, kind of want to wire this thing up and see how it works. Okay, we got these two gonna be our power and ground. We're gonna do something a little crazy. We're gonna use wire nuts. They work great when you're just wanting to test something. Make sure you like it, and then you come back in and wire it a little more permanent. All right, we thread that in. Gotta turn our battery on. And then I don't know what kind of music we're gonna play, because whatever I play, YouTube's gonna reject the video. Lights up. Here's what we'll do. We'll just play a video, one of my videos. It's a foolproof way to get around that. SSV works. Allow. Not very loud because my phone needs to go up.
Iowa 80, the world's largest truck stop. Always wanted to come here. Normally not a big fan of truck stops, but
if you haven't seen our road trip video series, you should check that out. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's actually quite loud for what it is. See, I guess we can play. Not sure what that button does.
okay, so
We can play other people's videos. Yeah, it tells you when you get too high on your volume. It's kind of cool. I think it'll be plenty loud for what this is. I mean, it's an electric vehicle with no, you know, outside noise, maybe some wind, a little bit of wind noise, but it also doesn't go fast enough for that. So I think it will work. I just got to figure out how I'm gonna drill that hole, and then probably get down in here and mount it somewhere up underneath the dash. So let me figure out some tools here and we'll get back to it. All right, well, limited on resources. I don't have a Dremel tool, so we're gonna do this the hack job way, which is drill a bunch of round holes with the drill bit and kind of file it away by hand. No going back now. All right, that will work. Let's see how bad it destroyed the paint. Not too bad, chipped it a little. You just barely see it. That looks nice. Not bad for a hack job. We got dust everywhere. Now I just got to figure out where to mount that box and wire all this underneath the hood.